grave is desecrated. Her family speak for the first time.
They call us scum, but I wonder if they really know the meaning of the word. Because to do that is the lowest of the low.
Inside Out is taken inside the guinea pig farm at the centre of the violent protest. And the activists' campaign of terror is caught on camera. That's all on tonight's special edition of Inside Out. The theft of an 82-year-old grandmother's remains from a graveyard in Staffordshire has left people genuinely shocked and horrified.
What's taken place in this churchyard this week's been not only a desecration to a grave, it's also been very traumatic for a family and very traumatic for a community, and we need to catch those responsible.
All the people in the village who feel as though they've been affected personally by this.
Well, I think they're animals. They're terrible. Absolutely terrible. They've got no respect for anybody, have they?
There's been much speculation about what's happened to the body of Gladys Hammond, but until now, the only people who haven't had their say are her family.
We never expected that they would reach such a low degree in their campaign of hate against us. To desecrate lovely Gladys's grave is an absolute outrage, and just goes beyond belief, really. To think that somebody had been there under the cover of darkness is absolutely horrible. I can't get into their head. I couldn't believe that anybody would want to do that. They call us scum, but I wonder if they really know the meaning of the word. Because to do that is the lowest of the low.
John Hall and his brother Chris breed guinea pigs for medical research. Gladys Hammond was Chris Hall's mother-in-law. The family are in no doubt who's responsible for this latest attack.
I can only think that this must be part of the animal rights. I don't think that anyone else hates us enough to do something as dreadful as this.
But how did it come to this? What drove people to dig up the grave of an 82-year-old woman in the name of animal rights? Inside Out started filming in the hamlet of Newchurch 6 months ago. Back then, we thought this story was about a lawful group of campaigners who wanted to close down a farm. Every Wednesday for 5 years, this group of protesters have gathered here. They're protesting against the breeding of guinea pigs for medical research at Darley Oaks Farm behind me. The people here are the so-called peaceful, law-abiding face of the campaign to close the farm down. But I've learned that there's a faceless, criminal element associated with this campaign that's anything but peaceful. It seems vandalism against people associated with Darley Oaks Farm has become commonplace. This is what happened at the home of somebody who used to work at the farm. Forced out of their job, they're still too frightened to be interviewed. It took a long time to find somebody who would talk. But finally, I've tracked down the man who works as a driver for the Halls, delivering guinea pigs from the farm to the labs.
Well, to start off with, I've had 5 or 6 windows broken on the first instance. 5 or 6 months later, there was paint thrown up the shutters, a package left on the doorstep, which the bomb squad dealt with. Then I've had numerous death threats. They reckon they're watching us 24/7, so yeah, I've had numerous.
Unannounced visits to Simon's home are frequent. At Halloween, he got a wake-up call in the early hours.
I'd class them as terrorists. At the end of the day, their tactics are no different to Al-Qaeda. All right, at the moment, they haven't got to the point of using hand grenades and all them sorts of things. But But when we can't sleep in our bed at night without fear of somebody coming and doing something to the house, what makes them any different?
Simon's work car is seen by the activists as a legitimate target. The constant harassment has forced him to consider taking the law into his own hands.
Oh, I knew what was going on. I wasn't the first to receive this. Now I knew what it felt like to be angry then. This is my property's been trashed, as you might call it. If I could have got my hands on somebody, I'd have been in the nick by now. Well, I think these people are prepared to, as you might say, they will go all the way. I think somebody could get I can foresee somebody getting seriously hurt, or even possibly killed at the end of the day.
People die every day as the result of drugs tested on animals.
But what about those who claim to be nothing to do with this violent fringe? For the 5 years they've stood outside Darley Oaks Farm, one person has led the rallying cry for the guinea pigs.
David Hall and Partners, animal killers!
We know that they're kept in very cramped conditions, 10 adults and as many as 30 young in pens which are just 2 foot by 5 foot, and that's just appalling. No animal should be kept in that condition. We are totally against any violence. We are a non-violent direct action group.
At Newchurch, near Burton-on-Trent, there is what at first appears to be an ordinary farm.
In 1999, the Animal Liberation Front released a video. They filmed themselves raiding the guinea pig sheds at Darley Oaks.
Around 600 guinea pigs were rescued and are now in loving homes.
The peaceful protesters believe this footage proves their campaign is justified.
The guinea pigs have no one else. We are their only hope. We can't let them down.
Until now, the Hall family have turned down requests for television and radio interviews. But now, John Hall's agreed to break his silence and talk about the campaign that's forced him to turn his farm into a fortress.
Around the garden and house area, we've had to erect a security fence, and there are dogs running free here. And also we have some CCTV, and we also employ private security to ensure that we can get some sleep at night. It's unpleasant, but it just has to be, because we can't get the protection that we require from other sources. The police can't sit here 24 hours a day in case something happens.
The security might help protect the farm, but John's family are now also seen as legitimate targets.
My daughter, who has never worked in the industry, she worked for an independent firm, living in her own home, away from here. They found her and intimidated her company into making her leave, and trashed the works car that she was provided with, and we've had to put shutters around her house. But only a fortnight ago they came and smashed the upstairs windows and threw paint all over the house. I think it goes beyond just general protest. Some of the actions that they do, I feel, is terrorism and needs to be dealt with by the laws that govern terrorists.
The cow sheds at Darley Oaks stand empty now. The company that collected the milk was targeted, its headquarters vandalised, so the tankers stopped coming and the herd was sold. It was the first time a business which dealt with the Halls had been intimidated, but it wasn't the last.
We've lost the people who deliver fuel to us, we've lost the people that deliver gas, we've lost the company that took the milk away, we've lost the people that repair the glass, and we've now lost this week the man that delivers the papers. So it's very tenuous, some of the links that they will go to intimidate people that have anything to do with us.
But the militant fringe of the campaign has gone further, much further. This is what they did to the golf course where John was once a member. They've threatened the local landlord that they'd burn down his pub if he continued to serve the Halls. In June last year, they tried to cut the power supply to Darley Oaks Farm by chopping down an electricity pylon. The farm was unaffected, but it caused a blackout in 2,000 homes. And this is what they did to the house of the pensioner who cleans the Hall's home.
When you throw a brick, you don't ultimately know what the outcome of that could be. It could blind somebody the other side of the window, it could hit them on the head and even kill them. So I think you have to be a mindless thug to be able to do that. Because, you know, we're not monsters. None of our staff are monsters. We're just ordinary people doing a job that admittedly some people don't like, but it's legal, and until it's not legal, we'll carry on with it.
Since June last year, Staffordshire Police have investigated around 300 incidents in connection with the protests. But despite having a specialised, dedicated team, dealing with faceless criminals is proving tough.
These people attack in the dead of night, wearing balaclavas. They hide behind this legitimate protest that's taking place. And quite frankly, they're cowards in doing so. I've been a police officer for 18 years, and this is one of the most sinister and insidious campaigns of harassment that I've ever investigated. The reason for that is that people that are totally unconnected with the business of David Hall and Partners are being targeted.
Well, the thing is, I deal with such a cross-section of customers, I will deliver to pretty well anybody. What they do in their business or private life really is no concern of me or any distributor.
Rod Harvey runs a small fuel delivery service. He's never even seen the guinea pigs at Darley Oaks. All he did was bring oil for the Hall's tractors. That was until the Animal Rights Brigade got his number.
I went on sort of taking no notice of the phone calls and the abuse that started because I just thought, well, it's nothing to do with me. What he does for his business, I'm supplying fuel for his tractor. Nothing at all to do with the guinea pigs, so I was quite happy to supply. And that was fine up until we started getting the bricks through the window.
And it wasn't just bricks. The telltale trademarks of the campaign quickly followed.
I don't trust anybody. I am very, very nervous of noise. I'm nervous of sudden movement. People come and stand behind me and I jump because of what's gone on over these last years. I'm terrified, absolutely terrified.
Rod's wife Dot has been left shell-shocked. The only way she's coped has been to fortify her home.
We've got a sensor alarm down there which, when it sets off, sets an alarm in the house. We've got the light up there, cameras up there, cameras within the porch so that we can see whoever's at the doorway. And we've also got another sensor on that side and cameras round that side. If we were doing anything that was illegal or anything like that, you could understand people coming to you. We're just doing an ordinary job.
True to form, the protesters turned up at the Harveys' front door.
Hello? Hello? Is there anybody there? We've come to speak to you about Newchurch Farm. We're giving you the chance to pull out before we start a big campaign of persistent, regular demonstrations against you.
Before you know where you are, you've got them at your windows. They're looking through your windows. They're knocking on your door. They're shouting through your letterlocks. They're banging on the doors. They're banging on the windows. It's just horrific. It is just horrific. Can you imagine sitting in your own home? You've got your television on, you can't hear it, you can't do anything. All you've got is this rabble outside. You've just got to sit it out and just hope that they don't get any farther than the front of your property. Because if they got to the back of my property, I wouldn't have a cat in hell's chance. Wouldn't have a cat in hell's chance if I got them back and front.
And just when the Harveys didn't think things could get any worse, they did. A letter falsely accusing Rod of being a paedophile was posted around the neighbourhood.
I was out driving when my wife rang and said, I've got the police here with, there's a letter going round saying you're a paedophile. And also I said, you're joking.
It also went on to say that he is violent to children at darts matches that his wife organises. So virtually is including me in what he's doing. I'm helping.
I've got no recourse against any of them. I mean, I can't retaliate. People have said to me, do you want a shotgun? Get your shotgun. Can't do anything like that.
Well, I would never have believed that people could think such things, let alone write, put that down on paper, what we've had here. And as far as I'm concerned, they're just scum. Scum. No, I can't think of another word to describe them.
But even now, Rod continued to deliver fuel to the halls, refusing to give in to the intimidation. That was until November last year, when balaclavaed figures arrived in the middle of the night.
I was in bed and I heard bricks come through the bay windows, and as I got out of bed to come down, I heard Rod shout.
A brick came through the door and it actually hit my foot. And then the next thing was glass was cutting my hand.
And you're thinking a bit closer to the door, bending down to pick something up. Who knows? He could have been dead by now.
The people who did it, they're despicable. They're animals themselves.
You think you're not going to give in to these sort of people. But when it comes to the crunch and it's hit one of your family, of actually being hit by a house brick, then you think enough is enough. You can't take anymore.
A few days after speaking to the Harveys, I got a call from Simon Turner. Another faceless activist had turned up, armed with a pot of paint.
Yes, it does make me angry, but at the end of the day, this is paint. This can be cleared up. This is just soft, this is. A couple of hours and it'll be gone.
Would it be easy for you to give up, move house, buy another house somewhere?
Yeah, it would be easy. But there again, you're running then, aren't you, at the end of the day? It's my living. I'm not going to pack it up. So why should I be driven out to something that I like doing?
It's National Protest Day for the Animal Rights Fraternity. 2 years ago, when they held a similar rally, a police helicopter filmed their arrival and watched them descend on the Hall's farm. Today's no different. Once again, they've come in their hundreds. And they're in good voice.
Industry where they're going to be mutilated and basically butchered to death for nothing more than profit.
I personally won't rest until I know that all those sheds are knocked down and they're not going to be used again.
It's my first time here today and I'm new to all this, so it's basically, I don't think this has any place in modern 21st century society, this kind of behaviour that's happening, like, you know, so I just think it's an absolute disgrace.
But do they think their voices are being heard?
We do know that they do tend to stay in when there are protests going on, so that one of the family members will definitely be in, maybe all of them, and so hopefully they'll get the message from today, which is they shouldn't be torturing the guinea pigs and they should close down.
The Animal Rights Fraternity claim that we ritually abuse animals for our own pleasure. I can assure you that doesn't happen. And they also claim that we keep them in appalling conditions. Well, it's highly unlikely that multinational companies would deal with us if we were selling an animal which wasn't of the highest quality. And so it just doesn't make sense when you analyse it properly.
The Home Office can arrive without warning to inspect the Hall's guinea pig sheds, but no one has been allowed to film inside them. Until now. John knew we were coming this afternoon and he insisted on being Inside Out's cameraman. He said our camera crew would disturb the animals. But what he showed us was very different to the video the ALF had made 5 years ago.
These animals look quite happy to me. Active, clean, got food and water and bedding, and you can tell by the noise they're making they're fairly contented. Here's Ashley, to show that he's actually seeing what the camera's seeing, so that we're not telling lies. This is really happening. And these are the animals that we're supposed to be torturing. I don't think so.
Outside, it's getting heated. Protesters have refused to hand over a banner to the police who've moved in.
I don't know whether you've seen the sign, but it makes reference to Darley Oaks Death Camp being an Auschwitz for animals. That's clearly offensive to the people who live in that house and goes beyond what is allowed.
They'd always told me they were non-violent, peaceful protesters. But was it just possible that at least some of the people here are involved in the undercover criminal campaign?
They're here today and they're committing, in the main, no offences. They're doing a normal, lawful, peaceful protest, and they're entitled to do that. But it's what goes on behind that, and behind the scenes is a lot of crime. There are people here who we know are heavily involved in these campaigns, and certainly people that we believe may be involved in some of the criminal activities.
For myself, I don't break the law, and I'm certain that all the people here today do not want to cause any violence to life, any harm to any life.
I'm not willing to do anything illegal to put my point across. That's the way I am, but if people want to do that, that's their own prerogative, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
We believe there's been some criminal damage. We see it reported in the paper. As yet, we don't know who's doing it.
I'm very disappointed that they feel that they are right and everybody else is wrong, so much so that they will intimidate and damage people's property and maybe their lives if a brick happened to hit somebody. I can't really see into their head because I'm not that kind of person. But I think they enjoy being, working outside the law and trying to impose their will on law-abiding people.
This assembly is controlled by conditions imposed under Section 14 of the Public Order Act 1986.
By law, the protesters' time is up. But as Inspector Bird and his officers move in, it's clear they're not ready to go just yet.
Get this on your camera! Get this!
Just watch these kids. Let's get the kids safe. Take a safe route round there. We don't want you to get injured. Just get around that way, Duck. We want to keep moving them. If you can get everyone to keep moving that way. Kerry, calm yourself down. Kerry, calm yourself down and put your hands behind your back. You'll only make it worse. Just do as you're told, Kerry.
Walking. Put your arms behind your back. You need to kick and move.
Put your arms behind your back. Put your arms behind your back, Kerry, now. Listen to me. Calm down. You know you're under arrest. Just calm down. Just calm down.
You piece of calm down. You pathetic. You're all pathetic.
God. Some people have...
11 protesters are arrested. It's more than in any single day of this campaign so far. Calm is eventually restored, but some protesters haven't had their fill. 3 stragglers have decided to make their way to Simon Turner's house.
Absolute disgrace! You are filth, Simon, and we'll be back again and again and
But this time, Simon's waiting, and he's had enough.
down, Simon. We will not go away.
You've got to say to me, son.
Yeah.
Hey.
Obviously, when these things happen, you'd feel some revenge, I dare say. But at the end of the day, I'd go out there, deal with it, and possibly even find it hard to hold back. Once you let go, the damage is done. One of them could quite easily get killed then. And then where would I be? Locked up at Her Majesty's convenience, and then they Well, they've beaten us, then.
Simon's restraint is rewarded as all 3 protesters are arrested. One of them, Andrew Davies, is later sentenced to a month in prison. After 6 months investigating this story, we've decided to invite the official spokesperson for the Newchurch Guinea Pig campaign to be interviewed here at the BBC. We want to know if she can shed any light on the shadowy criminal fringe associated with her group.
When's it all going to stop, Amanda? How far are you prepared to go, you and your group prepared to go?
We are prepared to demonstrate there as long as it takes until he closes down the guinea pig breeding business. The guinea pigs don't have anybody else.
Your group are prepared to go, it seems, to any lengths to prove a point. Aren't you just sort of professional agitators?
Absolutely not, and we're not prepared to go to any lengths. As I said, we stand at the bottom of the driveway on a regular basis with placards and banners. We have megaphones.
So who are these people then, Amanda? Who are these people that are causing criminal damage and suffering to the supporters of the Hall family? Who are they? You tell me.
I don't know.
You must have some idea, because you're not a stupid woman, are you?
I hope not.
So, who are these people?
I don't know.
In your mind, take a stab in the dark. Who do you think would do that?
I can only imagine it's people that are frustrated that the animal suffering is continuing and that the government aren't doing enough to stop it and are allowing it to happen.
The same people that are equally frustrated in your group that peacefully demonstrate every Wednesday and Sunday for the last 5 years?
It's certainly not our group, no.
Yesterday, the usual Sunday demonstration outside Darley Oaks Farm was cancelled. Amanda Richards told Inside Out the campaign wanted to show their respect for the Hall family after what she called the horrific events of the past 10 days. Tonight, the whereabouts of Gladys Hammond's remains are still unknown. Her family are desperate for them to be returned to their rightful place. And for the first time, John Hall is admitting publicly that his family are considering the future of their business.
Our first priority really is to have Gladys returned, and so that she can go in her restful place in the churchyard. And after that's happened, then we will need to look at the future and decide what we intend to do. I don't like being forced to do things against our will, but if people are capable of doing this sort of thing, you can't actually say what they're capable of doing. And we don't want people hurt, so we have to look at it carefully.
So the desecration of Gladys Hammond's grave may prove to be the act which signals the end of the Hall's business. Could it really be that the most depraved crime yet means the protesters will get their way? On next week's programme, the Botox craze. Would you do this to keep yourself looking young? And she's our very own Bollywood star in the making. Rupak heads for Mumbai. In a moment, EastEnders.